I'm gonna go ahead and edit that out. What's going on, Sharon? How are you doing?
I'm good today. It's a beautiful day.
Oh man. Well, thank you so much for joining me on today and taking time out of your day to just share a little bit about what you've experienced with respect to adverse possession. Um, I wanted to kind of go into a little bit about, the title of this episode is called Claiming What's Lost, and your journey through adverse possession and sort of what you've learned and your experience through it. And so with respect to that, I want to explain sort of why it's intriguing, why people have kind of moved in this direction, and why it's often misunderstood, and why some people see it in a sort of a negative light.
Right.
But man, I want to introduce you, and we'll go. You have successfully navigated the process. You
Yes.
have.
Yes.
So, with that being said, we'll go into our first segment, understanding adverse possession. Can you sort of briefly explain adverse possession for those who might not be familiar with the concept?
Okay. So it's basically like claiming property, whether land and or structure, that you basically researched that no one has any equitable interests, including like no heirs, no taxes paid, no crops growing, no utilities on, things of that nature. So it's just a matter of researching properties or lands to see if they basically have been abandoned.
Okay. Sharon, what sort of drew you to this topic? Were you sort of aware of adverse possession before your personal experience? What kind of
Well, so I've known about adverse possession for a little over 10 years now. I was actually drawn to it because I was basically wanting an outlandish is what I would say idea or concept of like there's got to be a way of not having to deal with these ridiculous amounts of rents and mortgages. And so I just wanted to have another way, and I wanted to believe that there was one. And then I just started upon tax auctions, and that's how it kind of went from there.
tax auctions?
Hmm.
So would you go
Yeah.
to these?
I used to go to, this was like 10 years ago. This is when it was still in-house at the courthouse in Florida, where they would have the delinquent tax auctions. They would have the houses up for auction, and you would see like a lot of real estate or real estate investors there. This is where they used to get their properties from a lot of times. So once I went into that, it was like, wait, there has to be another way. And then somehow, some way, I learned about adverse possession.
Wow, wow, wow. So you were already doing the work, living and thinking in ways that were a little bit alternative than most people do
Right.
and think.
Right.
Wow. And now were you raised like that, or have you always been like that, or was there a moment of enlightenment or
I was the first one. Well, my mom and my stepdad, when we were young, we had, home ownership. So, and even as an elementary student, telling other kids that it was like a big deal. It was a big deal. So it wasn't until we had my sisters and I had gotten older and my mom had moved to another state that I became the only homeowner amongst my family. And it was just I was in the mortgage industry. I knew about
Mhm.
home ownership. I also am really good with just reading to comprehend. And so it, like I said, it was just like the snowball effect of just gaining knowledge and it kind of coming to me.
Wow. Okay, so you've been legit for you've been too legit for a long time. Too
Something like that.
legit.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so so we know what sort of drew you to this topic. You had some experience earlier on.
Mhm.
And I just want to know, could you clarify a little bit the general requirements then as we kind of move into the topic of adverse possession? Like the need for open, notorious possession or a specific duration of time, sort of the general requirements before we go into some of the specifics.
Right. So basically, adverse possession is just a legal concept where someone can claim ownership of land that they don't originally own. So basically, overall, AP adverse possession has nothing to really do with the person who's possessing the property, but more so to do with the person who claims they're the owner. Basically, that time frame is for the owner to say, "Hey, it's mine. Give it back. Go to
Mm,
court. Do the proper steps." So, like you mentioned, the open and notorious, it's actual possession. You need to actually be living on the property or using the property And that could be even having a renter on the property. But that's like another segment. I'm not doing all that right now. But to earn the income financial piece of that, to actually possess, and I think, depending on the codes, it's at least 6 months out of the year. It's almost like in Florida, we call them snowbirds. They have property up north when it's good weather. Then when it's cold, they come to Florida for the 6 months out of the year. So you have to have
Mm-hmm.
that type of possession. Exclusive possession, basically, you're the only one that's using it, you and or your family, and then go from there. And then, but like I said, when it gets into the rental portion, that's like another segment of there's ways to navigate with that, and I'm not sure with that. But then there's open and notorious. Basically, use of the property has to be obvious, no secrets, no sneaking around the back and keeping the lights off, stuff like that. It has to be open and notorious. And hostile. When they say hostile, doesn't necessarily mean like an aggressive means of doing it. Just more so of it's against the owner who claims that it's their property. It's against what they would say is or isn't true.
Mm-hmm.
And then continuous use. Basically, you need to take care of that property as if you would you would want your neighbors to take care of their property. Keeping up everything, making sure nothing, no code enforcement has to come by and give you any type of warnings or things of that nature. Animals, if you have animals, keeping them enclosed safely, stuff like that. Um, and then there's the statutory period, and every state has a time frame, which is as low as 5, and I think that's California, 5 years, and then as high as 20. I know for Virginia it's 15 years that you have to have that time period that a owner can claim that it's theirs. And then at the end of 15 years, if no one has claimed it, I can then say, hey, let me do the quiet title, and then it will automatically be put in my name. Now I'm the official owner after 15 years. So just
Wow.
those things there.
Okay, okay. Man, thank you so much for explaining that.
Well,
Yeah, because it can be sometimes the process can seem a little bit confusing for people who see the value in doing a process like this and doing
mhm,
um, this AP, but it can seem a little bit confusing. So we're going to go a little bit more in depth into some of those initial steps, and we just
mhm.
talked a little bit about your background, sort of kind of where you came from,
Okay.
um, with respect to the actual property itself. Could you share a
Mhm.
little bit about how you came across the property in question and like how, if you'd be willing?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's always due diligence in everything. So I had to first my first thing was to find out delinquent taxes. That's the first sign for me, at least, is if it's the property is 2 to 3 years behind on taxes. That's the first sign that it may be abandoned. So I basically had to go to the tax roll or the tax site on of the city that I'm in, but it required the homeowner's name, homeowner's information. So I discovered propwire.com. It's a free there's a payment section, but it's a free website, and it gives basically property and homeowners information. So I was able to take that and put it into the tax site for the homes that I thought would have been you know deficient or delinquent in taxes. So
Mhm.
once I had that list of about 7 to 10 houses, I went over to the tax site, got, saw if they were actually delinquent or not. Out of those few that were actually delinquent or not, I actually drove around because I had a zip code that I used. I went in a particular area near my family. And so I drove around to one of the houses on my list that was, I knew it was delinquent, supposedly abandoned, had matched all the things as far as vacant or whatever. And I found it, and the grass was grown up. It was obviously abandoned. Um, so then I went from there. That's when I
Mhm.
went from there. I had a landscaper take a look at it just to cut the grass, and then I hired a locksmith to change the locks. And a lot of this open and notorious, I kind of do it as, or I kind of see it as being confident, because it can be intimidating doing something that's very much non-traditional, and then having a locksmith come in. They're not asking questions; they're just doing their job. So it's not like you have to
Mhm.
lie to anybody or anything like that. But I had the locksmith so that it shows, one, I'm open and notorious with it, and then I had proof that I occupied that home on that day, that he gave me that receipt. And
Mhm.
so then from there, it was claiming or filing the notice of claim. And it's simply a document that lets you know who you got to get the property information. You got to do due diligence. You have to research the property. I went down to the land and deeds in our clerk of court, got the information, saw the ownership. There was no pending juris or judgments. There were no pending liens. This property had no heirs. There was no successors recorded. So I knew for sure that this was an abandoned property. Um, and so once I found all that out, got the locksmith, got the landscaper, I went down and filed my notice of claim. Like I said, it's going to have the owner's information, my information, the day that I said that I'm going to occupy the home, and then they file it and record it. So now I have this document that's kind of like my lease slash mortgage lien or whatever, so that there's proof of that I'm claiming this property. Um, then from there, I had homeowners inspection, a home inspection done, mold inspection done, um, roof inspection done, crawl space inspection done. I just wanted to make sure that all the the major working components were working. And then that's how we went there. We're from there.
Man. So you're now when you actually went about doing those things, did you have a checklist? Would you write it all out? Were you kind of, here's what
Well,
I'm gonna do?
Well, yes, in my head, because I had already been a two-time homeowner before this.
Mm,
So as a single mom, I was always taking care of these types of things. I was the landlord, so I kind of knew
uh,
what to look for, which absolutely helped out. And again, I was in the real estate business or industry, and then, like I said, being a homeowner, I picked up on the different types of things that are you need, HVAC, electrical, plumbing, the major stuff, those major components, and I was able to keep my eye out to know, okay, this is the older home. We got crawl spaces. I'm from Florida. We don't have that. There's basements involved. Let's just go ahead and get the whole gamut of things done just to make sure the house was safe to even reside in.
okay, okay. Wow. Man, there's a lot of intention. A lot of
Right.
intention.
Oh, right. That's the main thing. You gotta.
Yes.
I tell people, you should write down what you want out of the home. That's the main thing.
Wow.
What do you want out of the home? And like I said, those were my major components. Like, the roof need to be done. The foundation needs to be all right. I'm a woman. I'm not doing all
Mm,
that. I'm not fixing all that. So I knew that that was my list of things that I want. Almost like what do they call it, a dream board, a vision board. Have that for that home or that property. Because
wow.
you can grow crops. You can have a farm if there's vacant land. Have what you want to happen before you even start the process.
Wow. So sort of having a vision, making it clear what you want, vision board,
Right.
some type of action that lets you
Yes.
know that you're seeing the bigger picture, not just one step ahead.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
Wow. So how did you research this process and ensure you were following the legal requirements? Did you consult with a lawyer?
That's a good question. So initially, I researched the process via YouTube,
Okay.
and so that was like I said, about a decade ago. But I didn't necessarily pick up on the administration portion of it, where filing documentation, researching the property. I just saw a vacant house, and oh, that could possibly be it. But that's then we get into squatters. So
Mhm.
then I end up coming across Jalil Bay's ebook regarding adverse possession, and he breaks it down to where you understand which codes are per state, because some states don't use the terminology of adverse possession. So he provided all those codes, and so once I got the code and he provided the documentation or the templates, it was a go. All I got to find is a house now. Like that, all I got to do is find the home, because he already basically gave the blueprint and I utilized it. Yeah.
Mhm. Oh my goodness. So yeah,
So there
he
was no
again,
lawyer. There was no
there
lawyer.
was no lawyer. There was no
No,
lawyer.
no.
And just
I read to comprehend.
small shameless plug here. This is the guy who wrote who did it. He wrote this book too. I think he has another book too, but yeah, he
Mhm.
provided a book which hopefully I can link or something to go check him out. He's awesome. He definitely also
Mhm.
reads to comprehend, and he's a very good educator. And
Right.
he's been on this for a little bit of time. So this might sound again like we're asking these kind of questions, but again, to
Hmm.
clarify for the audience, right?
Right.
So what were the key milestones as you sort of walked us through the steps you took to claim this property and this land? What were the milestones of, you bought this course or you researched this and then you walk us through
So
that.
it was just actually believing that it was a legit opportunity and legal process, understanding that, and then finding the ebook, because initially I saw the ebook and I'm like, ah. And then it was like a month later, I had just moved to Virginia and I was living with my mom, and I'm used to having my own space, especially for me and my boys. And it was like, let me get this ebook. Let me see what he's talking about. And I have been I am a reader and a researcher, so I know what course material looks like, and the marketing for it. I get that and I understand it, but this was actually, like I said, a blueprint. It wasn't just like, hey, this is what you could do, this is what it could be. It wasn't a rabbit hole. It was, this is where it stopped. You know what I mean? And
Mm,
so once he provided like a that ebook and I understood it, the concepts and why it's important and why it's legal and the background of how adverse possession even came about, it's confirming what I thought I knew I wanted. And so that was the first milestone, was actually getting the ebook. Then the second milestone was joining his Facebook page, and that's how I found out
mm,
about that propwire.com website. That opened up so much for me, because like I said, you understand who the owner is. It'll tell you the square footage of the house, the square footage, the acreage, all that stuff that you might want to know or want to have in your list of what you want for your home. And then the next milestone was, like I said, the locksmith. And kind of feeling nervous, looking around like, but then after a while, the neighbors are coming out like, oh my God, we appreciate you coming. This house, can't wait for it to get back good again. It is an established neighborhood. So here you have this eyesore that's affecting their property values, as well as, rodents, unsavory characters, things of that nature. And so then the next milestone would be, just like I said, doing the paperwork. And it's just one sheet of paper that you go file and get recorded. You keep the original. And so when I had to turn the water on, that was a milestone, because they wanted either a closing statement or a lease. And like I said, I'm not big on online, but I will get creative. And so I was like,
mm,
well, what information do you guys need? And I said, oh, well, I have a recorded document. Well, bring it in. So when I brought it in and they saw everything they needed, my name, my contact information, who the house was prior to me, all that good stuff. Oh, okay, they turned it right on. It'll be on the next day. Okay, cool. So a lot of it is
mm,
just having that confidence. And then, like I said, the next milestone was actually having those inspectors come in the home, verifying that it is, in fact, a safe place to live. And all I got to do is clean. All I got to do is clean, turn on some water, some lights, and we can live here. Bet. And then the most recent milestone is coming up on a full year of it. And that's it's almost unbelievable, surreal, but
wow.
I enjoy it. I love it.
Wow, wow, wow. Congratulations on that milestone coming up.
Thank you.
That is really incredible. And I think one of the reasons why I was sort of drawn to you, and we had messaged that I had
Hmm.
posted something, you had commented, I had commented back, and then it was the first time I was like, when you had said, which when we had reached out, it was like the first time I was like,
Hmm.
man, this person is, there was just something that clicked, and I was
Hmm.
like,
Hmm.
I feel like we need to connect. And so we
Right.
met a couple days ago, and I was like, let me go ahead and get this story out here. Let me go, because you're really doing it. And yeah, again, yeah, 2025 I think is going to be a great year
It
for both of
is.
us,
It
but
is.
particularly for you, and with
Thank
respect to
you. Oh
this.
gosh, thank you. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And so, with respect to any opposition that you faced, okay, you did talk about the neighbors and them coming up and congratulating,
Mhm.
but any resistance, any,
Yeah. The It's so ironic because, like I said, the heirs, they had excuse me, there was no heirs. The prior owner had no heirs. Um, and it was, ironically enough, it was the first day I had, the day I had bought my car for cash, which was on my daughter's birthday. Random people came up, and they were just so random. They were asking, "Oh, we were here to landscape," but you could tell they're videotaping me, and it was just so weird. It was just so weird. Didn't That was like in March. Didn't hear anything about it. And then in September, right before my 1 year anniversary being there, this woman comes in. She's like, "Oh, well, we're just trying to find out about my cousin's house because this was my cousin's house, and we're going to get lawyers involved because either somebody is there or they're living there for free or something like that." And I just simply said, I said, "Well, go talk to your lawyers. I'm not engaging with you. I don't know who you are. I don't know what you're up to, but again, go engage with your lawyer." So I ended up reaching out to Jaleel, and he was like, "Look, if you file the claim and nobody else is filing the claim, once the lawyers get involved, they're going to see there's a claim filed, and then they just have to take me to court and do the regular legal process, basically."
Mhm.
Other than that, that's the only opposition I've literally had. Literally,
Wow.
no police coming up, nobody, anybody that's claiming it like this person is. Where's your paperwork? So,
Mhm.
other than that,
Mhm.
there's no other. The neighbors are kind. We're good in the neighborhood. It's a nice neighborhood. It's been great.
Wow. 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 So starting from sort of the time that you researched and got the document
Hmm.
from Jalil, how long would you say the process actually took? And you've sort of talked about the documentation that you needed to provide, but yeah,
Hmm.
how long did it take? And you said there was about, yeah, really just the one thing that you needed to file, and then the evidence of the fact that this is the date that you're locked in there.
Right.
So what,
Right.
two, three pieces of paperwork, and then
If
uh,
that, and I didn't even have to have that evidence. I didn't. I just keep all my paperwork. I didn't. You don't even have to have the evidence, but it would be beneficial for you to have the evidence if anything has to come up in court. But
mhm,
other than that, I simply fill out that notice of claim. And prior to that, it may have been maybe a month. See, what you're gonna know about me, Nashawn,
mhm,
is that when it
mhm,
comes to paperwork, I do not procrastinate. In both of my homes that I previously had, my paperwork was done within 30 days, even though I had a closing between 45 to 60 days. I don't like what are we waiting on? So for me, it was maybe honestly, if it was 3 weeks, that's probably longer than what it really was. So because like I said, I already understood the concept, I knew what I wanted, I found what I wanted, and he already had the information and the steps in the book. I just simply had to print the piece of paper out. I went to the library, went across the street to get it filed, went to the notary to notarize it, and then went to the right around the corner to the land deeds office. And they filed it, recorded it, and handed it back to me.
mhm.
That's
So
it.
it's simple, but it's not easy.
Right. Right. Because one, it's the mindset. One,
Yeah,
it's the mindset. People
yeah.
have to wrap their mind around it that it's okay that you can have a house without a mortgage. Like it's okay. Then two, it's a lot of people don't know, they don't want to read. They would rather pay
Mhm.
somebody, they would rather get a lawyer involved, which hey, that's what they pay for, pay them. They don't want to read. And then if they do read and they don't understand it, then they're not asking the right questions or doing the right follow-up, which I feel that AI is a great tool for that. You just got to know what to
Mhm.
prompt it for. But other than that, the hardest part to me is finding the house.
Mhm. Okay. Wow, wow, wow. So you would say that the most critical factor with respect to that contributed to your success was the confidence, the mindset, the belief that you had in what you were doing,
Right.
and then really just lastly the execution of said thing, but just doing the work.
Absolutely. And doing the research because like I said, with the taxes, the tax office or the website, it requires like the owner's name and information. Is you can't just put in the address. And if I would have stuck at like, oh my God, how can I find the person's name? How would I do that? Then I would have been stuck because I don't know who lived there. And so being in that group, that adverse possession Facebook group, asking those questions, people giving me different things, but PropWire was free because I think it was like another one, Land something. I forgot what it was. But it's different websites that actually provide that. But just knowing to ask the questions or being okay with asking the questions, with being wrong or with not knowing what it is that you need to know, being okay with that so that you have the confidence to ask the right questions so people can give you the right answers. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So just not being afraid to fail.
Right.
Mm,
Right.
mm.
Right.
So would you say that I guess we would maybe address some of the misconceptions about adverse
Mhm.
possession now. Are there anything that you would like to clarify for the
Yes.
people, the listeners?
AP, adverse possession, is not squatting. Squatting is illegal because there's no research done and no paperwork filed. So squatters are usually just hiding out on the property, which is completely opposite of what adverse possession is. And so adverse possession apparently is originated for the purpose of allowing abandoned lands and property to be cared for so that you, like I said, it keeps rodents out, unsavory characters, things of that nature, and helps with people's property value. It really, because that really does affect people's property value. And so the rightful owner basically has to file a lawsuit to assert their rightful ownership if they're claiming that. So it's not like the owner is out of the house. They don't have opportunity or anything like that. But if you're the owner and you just now realizing that 15 years later that you had a house that you could have been claiming, that, come on now, that house was sitting there for 15 years and you didn't know that, then why would anybody be upset or concerned that somebody had been taking care of that house for 15 years?
Mhm.
Why would you be upset about that and increasing your property value?
Mm,
So I think the misconception is what squatting is. Yes, it's illegal. They're not doing no work, they're hiding. And that if the rightful owner truly owns it and can claim it, then they're going to get their property back. And all that's going to happen is that then there's a legal process, almost like a vacate or eviction process. You might have 30 days or whatever amount of time that jurisdiction allows, but you still have 30 days to move out, almost like any renter who rents a home. You know what I mean? So God forbid, and that would suck. But I also know the concept of adverse possession, so I know if I have to do it next time, it's gonna be a quicker turnaround for me.
mhm,
I'm
mhm.
not afraid of that. You know what I mean? And I also have family who I could stay with until I get that done. So just not being afraid and knowing that it's legal. And
It is.
another thing that Sean,
Yes.
I want people to focus on the actual codes of their states, not the articles on the codes, not what the law journal might say about the codes, but the actual codes within the state. What do those codes say? If you don't understand them, throw them in Chat GPT or some other AI, have them put them in lay terms, each section, because they'll make a whole generalization out of the whole thing. But each section you don't understand, have it translated in lay terms, but directly from the code of the state,
Mhm,
not articles. Don't listen to what they're saying because a lot of them are making adverse possession and squatting synonymous, and it's not.
mhm,
It's not.
mhm. Okay. Now, that being said, what advice would you give to someone who's considering pursuing adverse possession?
You have to be confident, honestly. Like that's the thing, and you got to understand why you're doing it for. I knew I was doing it for me and my babies, and I knew that I wanted my older children to be able to come and visit me and us all live comfortably. So I wanted a home. I'm very much homebody. And so understand what it is that you're doing it for. Some people might want to earn financial things. And like I said, you could do the renter portion. I don't know about that. Jaleel, you know a little bit more about that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, or you might want to have land that you put your animals on, or you might want to have land that you grow crops on. Um, just know why you want to do it. Don't just do it because, oh, a free house or whatever anybody thinks it might be. And then also be open to being creative in how you go about doing AP. Because again, I'm not a liar, but I will get creative, okay, to get what I want.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have that, when you're open to being creative, then you don't get stuck on things. Then you don't get, it's not pressing you to not understand how to do it. Okay, well, if you don't want it like this, then like I said with the water bill, well, what information do y'all need? We need this, that, da, 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 to show proof of. Oh, okay, well, here's this document. It has exactly what you want on there. And they took it, and now the water's on. So, being creative, and like I said, using AI to translate the actual codes so that you know what you're talking about when you talk about them. Um, and then be a good steward to the home. I mean, it's a blessing. My house got a name. Good morning. good, good night. You know what I
Uh-huh.
mean? So being a good steward to the home. Don't get
Wow,
in there and then be trashy. What? What's the...
that's crazy.
So
Wow.
yeah.
Mm-mm-mm. So the idea of stewardship kind of sticks really, really close to you, would you say?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. It's like I said, it's a blessing because we already understand how this our society is basically unaware of what adverse possession can do.
Yeah.
And so if you have a blessing that I've wanted for years and I have it now, oh no. No, we taking care of her. We
Yeah.
making sure she good.
Yeah. Wow, wow,
Yeah.
wow. That's beautiful.
Thanks.
So with respect to the ethical and societal implications of adverse possession,
Mhm.
how do you feel that it could have an effect on the greater good? Do you see any negative or any negative potential side effects? But what would you say about the ethical and societal implications of it?
I feel that the ethical and societal effects are positive because like I said, you want somebody who's taking care of their home because otherwise again the property value, you got this eyesore in the neighborhood, your kids can't play outside because you don't know what's rustling in the bushes over there.
Mhm.
So and if anything, anybody who does adverse possession, they're serious about the concepts. So they're diligent in getting the paperwork done. They're diligent in making sure that they're following the guidelines. Because if they're not doing that, then it's not adverse possession. They're doing something else. And so wouldn't you want those type of minded people in your neighborhood? Duh. So I don't know.
Mhm.
So I
Mhm.
think it's beneficial all the way around. I don't think there's any negative implications because if it's negative, then they're not doing adverse possession.
Got it. Got it. Yeah, so you're and that makes so much sense too, because you're like, wouldn't you want someone who's doing the legal proceedings, who's taking care of the house, who's helping the community because they're taking care of the house, the property, the value is gonna, help
Right.
the rest of the value. That's like, what negative other than the fact that you're paying a mortgage and we're not, well, I'm doing the work that you're not willing to
Right.
do.
Right.
So interesting. I remember reading in some of the book, and was it saying that like family, like you can't necessarily be like related to the person who's lost the house? Is that a
Absolutely.
truth?
No, yeah. No, that's very true. So basically that goes back to that hostile, open, and notorious. If it's not hostile, open, or notorious if you know who it is. If y'all
That's right.
friends, that's not it. That's not adverse possession. That sounds like some estate wars.
Yes. Yes.
So that's why you don't even, and I mean it's almost the beauty of it. I don't have to contact the owner. I'm not going to. You don't contact them because at that point, as an owner, are they being a good steward of their home if they don't know that somebody's been in their house for a year and a half?
Sound like no to me.
Right. So you don't contact them because they should already be taking care of their house. They should already be having a lookout of sorts on, for their
Mhm.
property. And so, yeah, you don't contact the owners because, again, adverse possession, that statutory period has nothing to do with the person who's possessing the home. It has
Mhm.
something to do with the person who's claiming ownership rights. So
Mhm.
give them their time. Take the home, possess the home, and give that owner their time. If they need that time, then fine. Then go
Mhm.
about your business and leave. But other than that, no one's utilizing the home or the land.
Mhm.
And
It
apparently, I
feels
need one.
yeah, it feels like if you have a strong conviction about something, particularly like you're not using this. You haven't. You're letting it grow wild. It's affecting your community. You're not touching this. Like if you have, especially if you have a really strong community conviction that you should be taking care of what belongs to you, and you're not.
Hmm.
I mean the law gets involved. You're not taking care of your kids.
Right, exactly. Right.
Come on.
And actually, when I got to the home initially, there was already like code enforcement notices about the grass. So the law will get involved if you don't take care of the property.
Mm,
So yeah.
mm, mm. In your opinion, we just got a couple more questions. Thank you so
Hmm.
much.
You're
In your
welcome.
opinion, in your view, how can adverse possession be a tool for addressing issues like abandoned properties or housing shortages? I mean, I think there's a some type of homelessness crisis going on.
Hmm.
I believe,
Hmm.
and so do you think that it can address those types of issues and um, be a
Absolutely. I
source for
think
solution?
AP would address all of those issues. I'm a HGTV buff. I love renovations and all that good stuff. So one thing I realized after learning about adverse possession is that a lot of those shows that do all that renovated of the like the older homes and stuff like that, I said they've most likely been utilizing adverse possession.
Mm,
I specifically remember an episode when the woman was like, oh, well, we've had this property for a few years now, but we won't do anything until maybe the next couple years, which is probably, they're probably waiting for the adverse possession to kick in. And it was like,
mm,
but I had already seen the episode, thought back again about it, and it was like, oh my God, I remember when they said
mm,
that that's probably what it was. And so not only are you building a home or renovating a home so that a family can live in it, but you're also generating economic wealth if you're doing it
mm.
right, if you know what you're doing, because it's a straight 100% plus profit on anybody who's renovating the house of an abandoned home that didn't have any liens or anything against it. So
Wow.
I think it's definitely a good tool for addressing all that.
Wow. And I feel like there's definitely a transfer of wealth taking place. And I feel
Yes.
like I think that this could be a potential uh aspect of that. This
Yes.
transfer of wealth that is taking place from the hands of people who really ain't doing nothing with it. Y'all had your time. We're into a new age. It's time
Yeah.
for people who didn't have the have nots to now have and now steward.
Right.
Now, what did you learn?
Yes.
What did you learn about not having? Will you take care of what you have?
Right.
You know,
Literally.
so there's some there's some lessons
No, it's no,
to be
it's
learned
true.
here.
One of my second home, before I had sold my second home, I had a plumbing leak and I had never really experienced. Again, I was the landlord too. And so instead of just getting it fixed, I was like, okay, we're just gonna use the other bathroom. Don't touch that bathroom. And then when it was time to sell my home, I had to get it fixed. And it was like only like $250. And I say only in comparison to how much, you pay per month for a mortgage. And so I had a plumbing issue this time around. And it was like, no, we're getting done.
Mm,
We're
yeah,
getting it done quick. And
get
I got
it,
it
get
done
it.
quick. And I was so proud of myself. Oh, excuse me.
Yeah, bro.
Hold on, that was my child. I probably need to put on do not disturb. But I was so proud of myself for hold on, there we go. My children will call me. They're so adamant. And so I made sure I got it done immediately because I'm like I didn't have to wait that long time because I was scared of the price. Like I'm able to because I have,
Mm,
some more funds available now that I don't have to worry about certain things. But two is like just being a good steward. Like why would I want that to be an issue for my home? Like, no, let's get it done. Let's get it done quick. So yeah, you become in a different mindset when you actually start owning it too. It kind of
wow.
elevates it.
Wow. Uh, well, we are just we're gonna have to finish up here, but
Mm-hmm.
as far as it goes, Sharon,
Sharon.
Sharon.
ER makes the sound to shine.
So is it on or
Sure. It's Sharon.
Sharon,
Mm.
Sharon,
Like Sharonda, but without
like
the duh.
Sharonda. Okay, Sharon. Okay,
Yeah.
emphasis on the ER. Okay,
Yes. Yes.
that's right in my brain here. Thank you for that correction. Okay, so
Okay.
we had a potential thought that
Mhm.
maybe you would take on some consultations that
Mhm.
people who would be interested,
Yes.
not that you're doing the work for them,
Right.
not that you're not that that's what's happening, but that you could potentially open up your schedule a little bit for some consultations, to pay some paid time, and
Absolutely.
where people can come to you and pay for, half an hour, and learn about what to do. So, with that being said, that is something that you're open to, within the,
Yes.
okay, okay, that's
Yes.
wonderful. So as you guys know, so then now you heard it from the woman herself that she, would be willing to do something like that. And again, to help you guys help yourselves, not to do the work for
Right.
you.
Right.
Okay. So, again, we'll tag you somewhere here, and on the screen, or find some way to direct people over to you. But
Right.
is there anything else that you wanna share? Um,
Um, no, I just,
Close.
it's ironic how this came to be because I just dropped little nuggets of adverse possession in like all my social media. So like when you were that video that you had and I threw it out there, or if I hear like in some of my mom groups, I hear the moms talking about, well, we need shelters. Up. Hey, adverse possession is a. I'm just throwing it out there. Whoever catches it, because a lot of times that's how I found out so many things of the different routes that I took that it's not traditional is
Mm,
because of somebody threw something out there and it was like, oh, okay, wait a minute. And I actually listened and took heed to it.
mm,
So I just want to throw it out there so that people know one, it becomes more familiar and not it's not looked at as a squatting illegal business.
mm.
And that two, there's another option. There's another option. So one that cuts down the complaining. And two, it increases your ability of transferable wealth.
Wow.
And you have a home. Yeah.
Wow, 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 wow. Incredible. Wow. Thank you so much for
You're
joining me.
welcome.
And again, we'll get these videos out to you guys, and maybe if you're watching this the full go and on YouTube, but again, it'll be on her page, it'll be on my page, and yeah, we just want to get this information out. It's a positive thing that we're
Yeah.
starting, and yeah, I encourage you guys to connect with Sharon,
Ooh,
and
perfect.
and and y'all let me know if you need anything else. But for the most part, and thank you so much.
Thank you. You have a good one.
All right, you too.
Okay, bye bye.